Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas is your pathway to a bachelor's degree. Located in downtown Minneapolis, Doherty Family College offers an affordable education that includes free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, and a Metro Transit pass. As a full-time Doherty Family College student, you'll benefit from mentorship from St. Thomas faculty, along with paid internships and support from Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn your dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College, your journey to success starts here.
Have you considered a career in the museum field? The Minnesota Historical Society is now accepting applications for its Native American Museum Fellowship. The 10-week summer program is a mix of workshops, seminars, and hands-on internships at the Minnesota Historical Society. It is open to undergraduate students, recent graduates, and community scholars with an interest in museums and heritage studies. Learn more and apply now at mnhs.org/NAI. In a galaxy not so far away, the battle for truth rages on. Smart Wars is a solo exhibition by Rory Wakeup, a Minnesota Chippewa artist who flips the script on Star Wars using humor and regalia. Wakeup challenges colonial narratives and reclaims indigenous values of balance, resilience, and environmental activism. This exhibition runs February 27th through April 5th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. More information at allmyrelationsarts.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 23, then Tuesday rain and snow expected with a high of 36. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade.
By the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Can you hear me now, Haley?
I do, yes.
Yes. Hey, you know, there's a new thing on the computer, Haley, and it's called a mute button. And somehow Yes, I out tricked myself and I muted ourselves, and we're holding on here for dear life in my technical background here. Hold.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, it's definitely a Monday here on Native Roots Radio. Oh, what?
hey, let me just say it again. It's like native issues are human issues, and human issues are native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. And this portion of this show is supported by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Yeah, this time I can't like point any fingers, Haley, so I have to really take that one for the team. Hey, a lot going on here. We have our friend Gina Peltier on today, and Gina had been on for years, and it's great to have her back tonight talking about racing and what's happening with the law, and just get Gina back into the back into the groove again with us here on Native Roots Radio. But hey, I want to say a big a happy transgender visibility day to you.
Oh, yeah, it's really important that we recognize our transgender relatives out there. We know we've talked about this before, but since time immemorial, Native peoples have recognized and honored and protected our two-spirit and transgender relatives. And, in a lot of tribes, we have seen these relatives as closely connected to the divine as healers and as vital members of our nations. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out. I know Native Organizers Alliance put out a great post on Instagram, as well as some other few Native organizations. But we just, really want to recognize our transgender relatives here on Native Roots Radio, and let you know that you are seen and you are loved and you are protected. And you mean something very special to us and our tribes, and the roles in which you do, and they matter.
Absolutely, Haley, and beautiful words by you. Also, I was just thinking when you were saying that too. Is last time I saw Secretary Sam Strong from Red Lake talk about political the political things that are going on here, left and right. But he wanted to remind everyone that we're human beings, and that's what I was thinking of when you were saying that we're all human beings. Trying to live a good life for our family and our friends and ourselves, and we all just have to remember that, right?
Yeah, and especially, now more than ever with
Hmm.
these orders that are just completely full of hate and discrimination, that we are lifting up our trans relatives and our two-spirit relatives, and just be an ally. And allyship, means different things to different people, but it's always, standing up and supporting against those who are doing the wrongdoing.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to just give one more last shout out to Matt McNeil. Then we won't have to do it for another year, but celebrating 15 years. It was a great get together, awesome food at Crooners, and I just want to give them a shout out. If any of our Wisconsin listeners ever get in the Twin Cities, there's a lot of great jazz and music and happening at Crooners. And the walleye was to die for. Literally, it was the best walleye I ever
Nice.
had.
Nice. Yeah. Well, shout out to Matt McNeil. Matt McNeil has the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950 for 2 hours before Native Roots Radio. And yeah, Matt's show, he's a very progressive voice, uplifting a lot of the things that we talk about too. And he cares and has respect for our Native communities here, tribally and in the urban setting. So we appreciate that.
Well, the host called him Maddie, and no one else, he said, has ever been able to call him Maddie. But that was one of the questions I had was, can I now call you Maddie? And he said yes.
Oh, there you
Because
go.
because I remind him, because all the things that we talk about here on Native Roots Radio, his father talked about, and um,
Oh,
I remind him of his father,
oh, I did
even
not know
though
that.
even though I'm only 5 years older than him. But I
Yeah.
I took that as a compliment, Haley.
Well, I saw something this weekend, I wanted to shout out you. I saw you featured in something.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, and we had the host of this docu-series television show on
yeah.
recently in the past. I know Arvina and I got to talk to her.
Hmm.
I'm talking about Ruth Ann Thorne, and
Hmm.
Ruth Ann is the host of This is Indian Country, which is like a 12-part docu-series that travels all over Indian country and meets with different people. This last episode that got released, I think it was over the weekend. But you were featured in, Robert. She was here when they were filming that, and talked to you about Native Roots Trading Post.
Yeah, absolutely, and the artists that were in there, and then I also saw that, she spoke to, Sean Sherman too of Owamni when she was in
Yeah.
Twin Cities. But Nick Esty, who's a big artist that we have and had over the years, his artwork and scarves, and Nick reminds me of the saying, you're a native artist that does art as opposed to artist that does native art. Do you know what I mean? And there's a
Yeah.
big difference. It isn't like, oh, I did this really nice landscape, but I threw a teepee in there. You know what I mean? We don't
Yeah.
have to do that. We're still artists, right? Like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for bringing that up. I actually, I got to see you briefly at the Ho Chunk Nation Founders Day powwow in La
Yeah.
Crosse this weekend.
Yes, that was good to see you. I saw some other people from the cities, and I wanted to find you, Haley, because I ran into like 3 or 4 people that listened to our show that were there. And I
Oh,
said, Haley's there. And they said, where is she? And I looked around for you and I said, I think she ditched me because I'm old. I'm not sure, but
we were downstairs in the bottom level doing quite a bit of shopping. So
yeah.
that's where I'm getting at here. I bought this art piece. It's called Three Sisters, and it's by a Ho Chunk and White Earth Ojibwe artist. His name is Christopher Sweet.
Yes.
And I bought this Three Sisters painting by him, and it's inspired by the legend of the three sisters, corn, beans, and squash. Each sister plays a vital role in nurturing each other to flourish. The sisters are humanized in the painting to remind us that all living things are our relatives, and that's featured in the frame here right behind me if you're
Yeah.
on our live stream.
I saw that. And you know what? He was in St. Paul for the tattoo thing. He was
Oh.
tabling there too. I first met him and I have his card, and I always want to have these artists draw me. So
Yeah, well, he has a gallery. It's called
yes.
Blue Bear Studio, and it's
Yes.
in Baraboo, Wisconsin. So if you're ever over there, check out Christopher Sweet and his gallery, Blue Bear Studio.
Right on. Well, it's also a National Indigenous Language Day, Haley, and we
yeah.
matter, like you always say. And again, we want to remind everyone of the 5051 protest happening on April 5th. And then again, we're going to have Gina Peltier on, and we're going to talk about rice and how important that is. And I know it's a big issue all over Indian country, and we need to protect the rice and the people that are the people that watch over our rice. So, hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We're with Haley Cherry, and it's a Monday. And we started out a little rough there, but here we are. Oh, wow.
Hey, stay with us. We got Gina Peltier and Leanna Goose up next.
Lost language,
rape,
isolation,
forced
colonization,
assault,
disease and
boarding
torture,
school,
lost
sexual
family,
abuse,
relocation,
block customs,
allotments,
hate,
reservation.
fear.
History has taken its toll on our families. Our fathers and grandfathers, our mothers, our grandmothers, they didn't deserve to be raped and abused. I don't deserve to be raped and abused. Today I walk with pride. I'm reclaiming my body, my heritage, and traditional customs that value all living things. I'm learning healthy boundaries, and I stand with Minnesota Indian women to end sexual violence. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Everyone knows I love Rudy Luther Toyota, but do you know who else loves Toyotas? Consumer Reports. They're out with their best of 2025 auto issue, and once again, it reads Toyota, Toyota, Toyota. Of the new 2025 models, Consumer Reports recommends the Prius, Corolla, Corolla Hybrid, the Camry, the Sienna, the Corolla Cross Hybrid, the RAV4, the RAV4 Hybrid, the Highlander, and the Highlander Hybrid. In almost every class, you'll find a Toyota. Find one for yourself at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Have you considered a career in the museum field? The Minnesota Historical Society is now accepting applications for its Native American Museum Fellowship. The 10-week summer program is a mix of workshops, seminars, and hands-on internships at the Minnesota Historical Society. It is open to undergraduate students, recent graduates, and community scholars with an interest in museums and heritage studies. Learn more and apply now at mnhs.org/NAI.
Anine, I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we have our friend Gina Peltier and her friend Leanna Goose on right now, and we're going to talk some wild rice. But welcome, you guys. And Gina, you've been on the show many times. Maybe you could give and remind our listening audience your background and how you got going. And I know your brother and all the great work that you've done over the years. And then we'll get to Leanna and quiz her and what she's been doing. Oh, welcome.
Hey, Robert, Haley, thank you so much for having us on. Yeah, so Bonjour everyone, Makade Makwan Dudum, Anishinaabe and Dunjdaba Mikanakwaji and Idiweg, Gina Peltier and Dijnakaj. And so I am Black Bear Clan. I'm Anishinaabe with the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe. My name is Gina Peltier. Currently, I am board of Mukwa. It's an Indigenous women-led organization, nonprofit focused on Indigenous sovereignty, raising Indigenous voices, and climate justice. And then I'm also on the board of Giwedanong Cultural and Treaty Rights Museum in Park Rapids, Minnesota, which is booming. Really excited for all the good work that Sarah Little Red Feather has been doing over there. And then recently I have been working with Leanna and Owen Small and facilitating the Rise and Repair space and doing all this good work towards the wild rice. In the past, though, I was able to come on and help out with Native Roots Radio for a little bit while Ogama went on maternity leave. That was so fun, y'all. And it really heightened, my experience for being on the radio, and it really helped me with my public speaking, y'all. So Robert, thank you so much for inviting me on and letting me help out during that time. But also before that, I worked for Honor the Earth. I was full-time resisting line 3. And so my work for Honor the Earth is that we did a bunch of educational events, getting the public involved, giving them the right information and helping them along in all the trauma and stress that goes with having a toxic tar sands oil pipeline installed right in your backyard. And we've all seen the damage that has happened with that, with the multiple aquifer breaches. And the frack outs, so the work that we are doing today is even more important and even more, costly because, we've had all these toxins, damage our ecosystems. So it's really right now, especially considering, what's happening at the federal level of government, that we really do have to put our foot down and demand the protections that we want. And then, before that, I was just always involved in being an advocate for my communities, our Indigenous sovereignty, land back, missing, murdered Indigenous women, and really claiming our culture back, really being a staple in our communities to showing what Indigenous people really are about. Indigenous people, we thrived since time immemorial on this land. We cultivated gardens and farmed it without taking any nutrients out of the soil, without using any pesticides. And we were completely able to self-sustain ourselves, And so I've just been really blessed to be able to work with such great people, supporting our communities, preventing all this and genocide. But enough about me. I can most definitely pass it on over to Leanna so she can introduce herself.
Right on. Hey, Leanna. Welcome.
Bonjour. Bonjour, Leanna Goose, and Indigenous cause, Makwan Dudame, Gasaga, Squadjame Cognidu Jaba, Wabikwani Sing Nindam. Hello, my relatives. My name is Leanna Goose. My clan is Bear. I am from Leech Lake. I live in the place of many little flowers right off of Leech Lake. I am a mother, researcher, and co-facilitator and organizer within the Rise and Repair Alliance space. And the Rise and Repair Alliance is made up of many different environmental, faith, and Indigenous organizations working together to advance climate justice and protect Indigenous rights through legislative action here in Minnesota. We work on so many amazing areas of focus, like pushing for 100% electronic waste recycling, climate justice education, and working for protections for wild rice, which is my main area of focus. But this coalition alliance of organizations really helps to support one another and get our voices heard at the Capitol and across the state. And yeah, thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I've got to give Leanna a shout out because while she's doing all this amazing work, building this alliance and protecting wild rice, she's also going to school full time, I believe. And she's got kids. I don't know how she does it all, but I'm just super appreciative for everything she does too. Like, I don't even have kids, so I couldn't even imagine doing all that on top of raising children. So Leanna, shout out to you.
Well, Leanna, too, a big shout out. And I take naps for you once a day. So I just want to say that.
Oh, man, thank you for that.
Yes. Hey, Gina, let's get deep in here and talk a little bit about the Minnesota Rice Protection Bill and what's at stake.
Yeah, so the wild rice, and as Anishinaabe people, the wild rice holds a deep significance within our culture. The Anishinaabe, we originated over on the East Coast, and our prophecy says, to move to where the food grows on water, the good berry. And so we migrated all over to the Great Lakes region to where the wild rice grows. And so ever since we've been over here, we've been able to make those connections and those relationships, with the surrounding tribes to be able to, harvest and settle in this area. And so with wild rice, we all know how important wild rice is. It is a food source. It is culturally and spiritually significant, and it is a vital part of lake ecosystems. It provides habitat for wildlife and contributes to the water quality. Wild rice, helps clean the water. And from being from Turtle Mountain, my elders said that when they were young, the wild rice grew everywhere. It was everywhere, and they were self-sustainable. All they had to do was during harvest time just go out their back door and harvest the wild rice, and they would be good for the year. And so now it's been really devastating for them and us to see the disappearance and destruction of it, due to the cause of industrial farming, colonization, and so many other, human activities that have been destroying our wild rice. There's absolutely no more wild rice up in Turtle Mountain. And then also over in Michigan, it was also very prevalent. It was everywhere. And over in Michigan right now, the Anishinaabe tribes don't have any wild rice that they can harvest out of. And so it's super important that we act now to protect wild rice. It's really silly. I always say that these protections should have been in place when the United States government was formed, when Minnesota was formed. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. But I do want to give another shout out to the people before us who have been working so hard to protect wild rice and Indigenous rights. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have made it this far. It would be extremely difficult, even more difficult than it is now, to get as far as we are, even having, Indigenous women in the Senate and in the House is phenomenal. And that really helps us out in getting protections that we need, and that should have been in place since the beginning. So right now we do have the Wild Rice Act, Senate File 1247, House File 2134, and we do need a hearing in the House and the Senate before April 1st committee deadline. So we do need all hands on deck. We need to get this hearing happening. And so tomorrow we are going to be hosting an action hour over Zoom where people can come and join us, and we will help them. We'll use it as a casual, friendly co-working session. We'll spend about 10-15 minutes explaining the status of the legislation and why it's important to protect wild rice, answer questions, and then we'll give some prompts to folks that will help them contact their legislators by calling them, making emails. We'll do some exercises to show how easy it is. And so we're really excited to be hosting that tomorrow. But, there's a lot going on. And unfortunately, we do have some representatives, mainly Republican, who are really not up for protecting wild rice. And so we really have been working hard. I know Leanna and I are going to the Capitol tomorrow to talk to some lawmakers so we can get a hearing on this. We had a lot of language in our bill that we wanted to push through this session. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we've had to cut down on it a little bit, but we're still pushing to ensure that these protections get through. So after this session, once we get this portion of the bill through, we are still going to work hard to get all the other protections through for wild rice. And so it's a long process. Our work is not done. It's not done when we pass this bill this session. We're going to work hard this summer to get more community involvement, to educate, and to build more protections that the tribes want to see passed as well.
Absolutely. Gina, we're here with Gina Peltier and Leanna Goose, and we're talking about protecting our rice, and especially during these days of global warming and what it's done to our, not the only things that you mentioned, but, I'm right next to the Mississippi River and it's down like 10 feet, and we are in a drought, and that doesn't make good for any kind of growing. But hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're going to be back after this short break, Haley.
Stay with us.
Oh,
Hey, it's Patrick. Spring showers may bring May flowers, but they also bring big savings with Zero Res. And right now, you can beat the spring cleaning rush with big savings and priority booking by calling our heroes at Zero Res. Zero Res removes winter's buildup and lingering odors, giving your home a fresh, spring-ready feel, preparing your home for the brighter days ahead. Just check out the almost 21,000 raving customer service reviews online with a 4.9 Google rating and see what all the hype is about. This month, get 3 rooms Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $119 and take $75 off an air duct cleaning as well. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res right now at 9520-RES or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Spell it backward or forward, it's the same. Zero Res.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I want to tell you about a better, more environmentally friendly way to care for your lawn with Natural Lawn. Natural Lawn has been treating Minnesota lawns for more than 20 years with organic-based natural products that feed the soil without unnecessary chemicals. That means an envy-worthy, healthier lawn that's safer for your family and your furry friends. Natural Lawn has no contracts and is 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So let Natural Lawn handle your lawn care so you can enjoy your lawn. More at naturallawn.com.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our local leaders. How do you reward your employees? How do you appreciate your business partners? Thousands of local organizations just like yours count on Minuteman Uptown for promotional products. We craft custom awards and plaques. We print your logo on apparel, office supplies, and thousands of other items. Minuteman Uptown helps you reward employees and stay top of mind with customers and vendors. We print everything. Contact us today at mpuptown.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 23, then Tuesday rain and snow expected with a high of 36. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
Hey, we're back here with Gina Peltier and our new friend here, Leanna Goose, and we are talking about the bill to protect wild rice. And are we gonna, Gina or Leanna, are we trying to get this on the omnibus bill, or is it too soon for that, or how is that looking right now?
Yeah, so we have we still have a chance to get it through the Senate and the House. But yeah, if we can only get it through one side, then the hope is to get it in an omnibus bill. But we're still working with all that we got to try to get it through both the Senate and the House. And it's really going to take all of us to move forward this bill, especially with the even split in the House. But this bill, as Gina said, is more important than ever, especially with the federal government working to strip away at environmental protections at the federal level. The time for the strongest state level protections is now. And yeah, it's really going to take all of us.
Yeah, definitely. So Gina, talk about our strategies here. We got remind our listening audience what's happening tomorrow and what time. And then also, I think we can give the Rise and Repair, is it .org? And then you can find all the information on there, Gina?
Yes. Yep. So it is riseandrepair.org. And so right now we do have all hands on deck. Tomorrow, Leanna and I and a small group are going to be visiting the Capitol to be going to talk to people in person. I really feel that you can make a greater connection and really get heart to heart with people when you are in person. And so right now our goals are to get a hearing scheduled in the House Environment and Natural Resources Finance and Policy Committee. We're going to be showing up tomorrow, asking the committees, the head of the committees, to put us on the agenda. We have by April 4th, Thursday. And so we're going to be really begging on our hands and knees to be added to that agenda. And then we also need to secure the support of a House Republican member who will vote yes on this legislation. And so since the House is a little divided, we really want to get those Republicans on board, which you really wouldn't think would be a hard thing, since, protecting wild rice protects our ecosystems, and that just supports the environments and the habitats of waterfowl and ducks. I love duck hunting. I love eating duck, so all them duck hunters out there, which I'm sure are a lot of Republicans, should be jumping on board for this piece of legislation. And then we need to get a hearing scheduled. in the Senate Climate, Environmental, and Legacy Committee. And so we are asking everyone to call their legislators, to email them, to educate their neighbors and their family members and get them on board for supporting this bill this year. Like I said, we did have to cut it down a lot. And so right now we have just the basics in there of having Minnesota recognize wild rice as a state grain, and then trying to get some funding for wild rice mapping so we can make it easier for people to protect it. And then Leanna, I don't know if you want to go into a little bit about what we did have to cut. I know we tried to put in protections for pesticides. We all know the whole Roundup thing causing everyone cancer, and so we don't need to utilize pesticides for protection of wild rice. But yeah, do you want to go into that a little bit, Leanna?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we had originally hoped to have, like Gina said, protection from pesticides. Pesticides are being applied to our waters to try to control the problem of invasive species. And that is like trying to solve one problem by creating another problem. It's just not something that we need to be doing, is adding chemicals to our water. And I work on a research project where we are trying to use mechanical methods to control invasive species and reseed in those areas where invasive species were previously located. So there are ways to deal with the problem of invasive species without the use of chemicals. We just have to get creative and look to Indigenous wisdom for that. But yeah, that part of the bill would have had to go through agriculture. So we had to go through the agriculture hearing. So we had to get rid of that one. And the wild rice risk justification, that would have had to go through, I think, Judiciary Committee. So we had to get rid of that. We had to strip away a lot, but we do have the recognition for the rights of Menomin within the bill still, which is powerful in and of itself. And I just want to talk about that a little bit and what it means to recognize the rights, the inherent rights of wild rice. So I'm not a lawyer, but I am someone who understands this on a spiritual level, and I can explain that. So in Anishinaabe culture, we're taught that without the plants, animals, and water, we wouldn't be here. And we show respect to those living beings by offering a sema anytime we take from them. And that is like recognizing the right of this plant to be here and being grateful for the gifts that they offer to us. And it is that same culture of respect that we aim to bring to all of Minnesota, with the recognition of the rights of Menomin to exist and thrive within our state. And it's really about creating, a cultural shift where people begin to realize that, without all of these living beings that we share this earth with, we wouldn't be here. And creating that respect for our relatives like Menomin. And we're living in a time of, a sixth mass extinction. Species are rapidly disappearing from our planet. And wild rice is central to biodiversity within our state. So protections for wild rice means protections for all of life. It's a keystone species. It's an amazing gift, and it deserves all the protections we can give it, especially in this moment as it is struggling. I am just introducing my children to Menomin, and at a time when this plant is beginning to disappear. We went to a rice bed that I riced on when I was a kid, Mud Lake. And that rice bed used to be just so thick, I couldn't even pull through it. And the rice was so tall, I couldn't even see over it. And me and my children went there this fall to just, scout out some places where we could potentially go ricing. And there was just nothing there. And it just, it broke my heart. And it really made me see that in order for my children to be able to, harvest Menomin in the future, I really have to do all that I can to protect that for them, and so they can practice their treaty rights on into the future. And that's what this legislation is about, is protecting wild rice and the waters that not only sustain wild rice, but all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is there a way for is there any restoration efforts with places that don't have or are losing their wild rice? Is there a way to get that back by the humans?
Yeah, so I know of a few places that are actively trying to restore Monoman, like in southern Minnesota. Prairie Island has been working on restoration efforts, and I believe Upper Sioux is also working on restoration efforts. And here on Leech Lake, we're also working on restoration efforts on our headquarters bay rice bed. That rice bed used to be massive, and it's now less than half the area it once was just 2 decades ago, according to local sources. And this past summer, we mapped out the wild rice, and we're able to compare that to a vegetation survey done from 20 years ago. And the data that we got, it aligns with, communities' memories of how big that rice bed used to be. And now it's just, a fraction of the area it once was. And we were able to understand, areas had been taken over by invasive species. And this summer, we're going to work to actively try to address that problem by removing those invasive species and reseeding with Monoman. So invasive species were not the whole problem, though, and that's what we found out. There's areas that had Monoman and did not have invasive species, but the Monoman was just gone, and that's what this bill aimed to do, was address some of those other problems that are caused. But I really truly believe, that this legislation is the start of healing our waters and being able to bring back Monoman or wild rice to the places where it was traditionally found. Because like Gina said, it used to be found, all across this region. In the southern part of the state too, it used to be found in abundance, but due to human activities, that is no longer the case. It's no longer found in abundance down there. But I really truly believe that if humans are at the root of this problem, then we can also be the solution. And I think we can all work together to heal our waters and bring back this amazing superfood that requires no pesticides, no fertilizers. All it needs is clean water to thrive. So I'm hopeful for the future, for sure.
Well, beautiful words. Gina, why don't you give us one more time here before we let you go on the action plan and how to get a hold of you guys, and also what they should be telling their representatives.
Yeah, Robert, thank you so much. And so y'all can visit riseandrepair.org, sign up for our weekly e-blasts, Also, we have action alerts. So when things do pop up, if we need attention or someone to call the representatives or to attend committee meetings, you'll get an email with an action alert, and then the weekly emails with all the updates of all the work that's going on within our Rise and Repair Alliance. And so tomorrow we'll be having an action hour to protect wild rice from 6 to 7 p.m. Central. And my brother, Joey Peltier, who's been doing this work with us, dropped the link in the chat. Thank you so much, Joey, for all of that. He's been helping us with this, doing an amazing job. But we will be meeting tomorrow to go over the bill and then to help and encourage people to contact their legislators. And the work continues after this. After this session, it doesn't end. It's a really small group of us with little resources. And so we've done amazing work with just the few of us. And I'm just so amazed. It just brightens my step and keeps me going that, with the few of us and our little resources that we were able to get it this far. But with those great, amazing people out there like Senator Mary Kunesh and Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light with their attorneys and whatnot, we've been able to do the work that we want to, and that's protecting wild rice for future generations, for our communities. So check us out, guys, riseandrepair.org, and we'll see you all tomorrow so we can get more in depth about this bill.
Hey, can't wait for updates. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. And Gina, we'll be talking to you soon. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this break.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Warmer weather means construction season is back, and that means changes on the roads. Starting soon, expect lane reductions, ramp closures, and significant delays on Interstate 94 between 35W and Huron Boulevard in Minneapolis. These changes could add time to your commute, so plan ahead or find your best alternate route. Stay informed and check for real-time traffic updates at 511mn.org. Again, that's 511mn.org.
Activism in the 21st century takes many forms. For Minnesota Chippewa artist Rory Wakeham Up, it's Funktivism. He uses humor, satire, and regalia to challenge social and environmental injustice. Smart Wars is Wakeham Up's latest solo exhibition. It's a bold mix of Indigenous heritage with modern commentary. Through his multimedia art, Wakeham Up challenges perceptions and sparks conversations about Native resilience, climate action, and truth-telling. See Smart Wars at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis, February 27th through April 5th. Details at allmyrelationsarts.org.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
In this portion of the show, we like to bring awareness to our Minnesota wolf population. Say no to the hunts.
Oh! Hey, that was good, Haley. Hey,
That means no in wolf.
Yeah, right on. Hey, good call. It was great seeing Gina again, and the great work that she's been doing over the years, and people need to keep an eye on this. Hey, Haley, I want to keep this going. I know there's this language, this Ho-Chungala language. That's a beautiful language, and that you've been kind of giving us the word of the day. Do you mind taking over here and giving us the word of the day? And just so there's no testing, because I have test anxiety.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, yeah, definitely. I would love to go over this. Yeah, today, March 31st, is not only Transgender Visibility Day, but also National Indigenous Languages Day. We Matter posted, I think this was on Facebook, but they said that this day recognizes the importance of Indigenous languages and the vital role that they play in culture, identity, and connection. Our Indigenous languages carry the voices of our ancestors and the dreams of our future generations. Our languages hold wisdom, traditions, and stories that help shape our identity and well-being. So it was great to be back this weekend at the Ho-Chunk Nation Founders Day powwow. It was the second annual, so it's a little bit of a newer powwow that they're doing, but got to go back to traditional Ho-Chunk territory, which was La Crosse, Wisconsin, and President John Greensier was there, and he shared a little bit of some storytelling from the area. I thought was really cool, but just so great to be around Ho-Chunks and more Ho-Chunk speakers. So we're doing a little thing here about learning language, and this is Haley's Ho-Chunk word of the day. We've been keeping it animal themed for the past week or so.
A lot of animals.
A lot of animals. We love our sacred animals.
That's right.
Yeah, so we talked about the wolf, which was shunk junk. Yeah, protect our wolf population here. Minnesota is the only state to not lose our wolf population in the lower 48. We talked about the dog, which was shunk last week. We also talked about the deer, right? We talked about chaw. Chaw is the word for deer in Ho-Chunk. And yeah, I think, should we do the hard one? I think we were learning cougar, and it was a little bit of a hard one for me. I'll try it here. The Ho-Chunk word for cougar is Winchwa Sinch Sidich. Winchwa Sinch Sidich. Yeah.
Sidich. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, I was thinking today we could kind of continue with clan and animals. We
Good
talked
one.
about the wolf was one of our 12 clan animals, as well as the deer. And today I was thinking we could talk about the bear. We
Right.
had Gina, I think Gina and maybe both Leanna were bear clan, or I think one of them was for sure, they mentioned.
Right.
But yeah, in Ho-Chunk, the word for bear, we say hunch.
Yeah.
Hunch.
Yeah. That's cool. And the Bear Clan in Ho-Chunk are police officers and military. So whenever the poop's hitting the fan,
Yeah.
we get the Bear Clan there, and hopefully
Yeah.
even before that. So that's a real thing still here in the 21st century.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of different like clan animals will have certain type of roles within
Mhm.
the tribe as well. I've seen some black bear here in Minnesota. Definitely, you'll see a lot more as you go in the northern woods area. But last time I was up in Red Lake, I think it was for their Independence Day powwow, which is July 5th every year. But saw quite a bit of black bears up in Red Lake. A
Wow.
lot of those hunches up there.
Right on. Hey, Joey said that Gina and I are a Black Bear Clan.
Yeah, right on.
You got a good memory, Haley.
Oh yeah,
to have
I was
young ones
listening.
around.
Well, yeah, I just want to say too, if you ever are hiking or camping, especially in northern Minnesota or northern Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula, Michigan as well, wherever you have bears, just be aware. Definitely be aware of where you're prepping, eating, cooking your food. Definitely don't do that near your campsite. And if you do have leftover food that you have overnight, hang that up in a tree or put it in a locked car if that's available.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you're a camper, so that's some good
Yeah.
news. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
black bears, yeah, they're pretty easy to scare away. Usually they won't come up to you.
Well, my idea of roughing it, right, is that there's no mint on my pillow.
Yeah, in the hotel room.
Yeah.
The 5-star.
Right. Does it take dogs? Well, we're not staying.
Yeah, we need to include our relatives in our stay.
Yeah. So again, let's back up a little bit here. I want to say how important, Haley, to our relatives in Wisconsin tomorrow, the election is for the Supreme Court.
Oh,
And we know
yeah.
Elon Musk's put $20 million into it. He wants to buy himself a Supreme Court justice in Wisconsin. So please take your friends to the polls tomorrow, whatever you can do. Prove Wisconsin is not as red as they've gerrymandered it into. So help your relatives get to the polls. And there's other people running too in your districts too. I always constantly, like Arvina always says, there's an election every year in Wisconsin, and I
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, seriously. Even with those special elections that, are taking place this year. Yeah, it's we have a couple things going on at the Minnesota State Capitol this week. I know someone sent us this, so thank you for sending this to us. But Healthcare Justice
Yes.
Lobby Day is this Wednesday, April 2nd from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Minnesota State Capitol. Healthcare Justice Lobby Day. You're going to be talking about key issues like making healthcare companies pay what they owe,
Mhm.
erasing medical debt, defending paid family and medical leave,
Right.
and protecting Medicaid, which is super, super important.
Oh, all those things, Haley, and I'm so glad that I ran into somebody at Matt's party, and she sent us this. Came up to me and talked to me, and I said, "Well, you got to put it through the producer first, and then we can talk about it."
Yeah, I definitely saw that one come through, so I made note of that for sure. But yeah, April 2nd at the Capitol. I know the 5051 protest will be going on again
Mhm.
at all state Capitol buildings across the state on April 5th.
Mhm.
So check that out, 5051.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I definitely. I always like to put on my AIM jean jacket to make people nervous.
Well, yeah, got to do that, especially Minnesota. That's,
Maybe I should.
AIM was founded here.
Maybe I should get my red headband on too. look like a dude from the 70s, or I already do. Is that what you're trying?
I think you kind of do. Yeah, you play the role pretty well.
Well, I was a child of the 60s and a teen of the 70s.
Good times, I bet.
Yeah, good music.
Definitely had that.
We had a lot of protests, and that's what
Yeah.
one of the most concerning things that I see right now, because back in the day of like the Vietnam War protests, they used to go down Summit Avenue right by. I lived a block away from Summit Avenue, and these protests came directly from college students.
Yeah. Yep.
And now they're trying to mute that by putting people in jail that are protesting things like this, and whether it's what's happening in Palestine and all those things, and then also the churches used to be really big into supporting good causes as opposed to what's happened to religion here in the last 20-25 years.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank everyone for using your voice and doing the great work across our communities, and definitely at the federal and state level as well.
Well, and Haley, I got to say this too. I probably said to you this off air, but there's many people that we run into, and I ran into about 3 people at lacrosse that wanted to say hi to you, and we just appreciate you when you come up and say hello and tell us we're doing a good job, and it means a lot. And there was quite a few people that came up to me and asked about you and the great job that you're doing and we're doing here in Native Roots Radio. So that means a lot.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to us.
It's Native Roots Radio, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have you considered a career in the museum field?